What up, guys? Doing something a little different today. All my race cars, or most all of my race cars, all use E85. That means I constantly have to clean my injectors. I use good E85, I use barely E85, but I like to maintenance them pretty regularly, at least a couple times a season, maybe 3 times a season. I decided I needed to buy an injector tester. So a while back, I bought this Autool ct150 injector flow cleaner tester, and for the money, this thing, I mean, has been a lifesaver. I probably had this machine for probably 2 years now. I've cleaned tons of injectors with this thing. Really noticed with this machine was anytime I put anything over like 1,000 cc injectors in it, I almost just felt like they were always really inconsistent. I could take a brand new set of big injectors and put in it and they would never flow the same. And I don't know. I mean, more than likely, it's probably just the fact that this thing has probably a really small pump in it. It's not designed for big volume, big pressure fuel injectors. Decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this thing apart and we're going to put a bigger pump in it. And I've actually got what is this thing? Let's see what I got. I've actually got an Aeromotive Stealth 340 pump. I believe that's what this was. It was a 340 Stealth. So my plan is I'm going to attempt to put this in this machine here, and hopefully it will flow a lot better, or be able to flow a lot better with bigger injectors. So I'm going to get this thing turned around, ripped apart, and see if we can get this big pump put in this thing, and then test it on some bigger injectors and see how it works. The back part of the machine apart. I've got the pump pulled out of it. It actually sits inside this little grommet, and this grommet sits inside this tank here. There's 2 little screws. I probably should have videoed it while I was doing it, but I'm doing this with my cell phone. But you pull these 2 little screws out, and then you definitely have to pull the hose off for the drain for the ultrasonic cleaner. And then you have to pull the hose off that actually goes to the pump to be able to wiggle that thing out of there. But yeah, that's the little pump they put on it. I don't think there's any numbers on it. And then the sock that goes on it. I'll probably end up just throwing that back in there. Wouldn't be a bad idea to put a stainless unit on there, or depending on what fluid you even use. Some people use like mineral spirits and stuff, but this is the cleaner that I use. I actually need to buy some more. I'm almost out. I get this off of eBay and works really good. It's a little expensive, but I'd rather use the right stuff than try and use something that's not designed for. The good thing is with it doesn't foam. It doesn't foam up whenever you're running the test. A lot of, like, if some people will run mineral spirits, or some people actually just put gasoline in it, and it'll bubble up, and it just kind of makes a mess because it'll spit out of the top of the machine when you're running the test. So that's what I use. But anyways, I've got my I've got my Aeromotive pump. I've got to do some wiring here, get a couple connectors there, and see if we can get this thing back together, and then test it with a set of injectors that I tried in it before and were very inconsistent. So I want to throw them in with this new pump and see if it got any better. So I'm a big dumb idiot, and this blue hose that comes on these things is very stiff. And apparently Aeromotive fuel pumps are not so good, because I broke the nipple off the end of it trying to shove the hose on it. And I cussed a lot, because that was a perfectly good running pump. And the only thing I had left over, or only thing I had that I could throw in this thing to test it, was basically a Hellcat 525 pump. So now this thing has a Hellcat 525 pump in it, and we're gonna plug this thing in and fire it up. And I know for a fact that is enough fuel pump to blow through some of these injectors. So I needed to do that anyways. I probably, like originally, I think I had bought a fuel pump a while back for that machine, and I ended up putting it in my dad's Dodge Dart. And so then I didn't have it, and this Walbro 340 was out of his car. So I was like, well, that'll be good enough. I'll just throw that in the machine and we'll just run with that. But yeah, so that didn't happen. So I ended up putting a Hellcat 525 pump in this thing like I originally anticipated. But that was the pump for my Dodge Durango project. So I'm going to have to order a new pump for that. But anyways, I'm gonna go take this over, plug it in, and we'll fire this thing up, make sure it doesn't have any leaks or nothing, and throw these injectors in here that I've been having issues with, and see if we get a better flow numbers out of it. I should have done a test beforehand with these injectors in it, and I didn't think about it, so that was my bad. We got our injectors in, and I'm gonna turn this thing on, and we're gonna turn it on pressure, the leak test, and we'll set our base pressure, and also we'll see if this thing leaks at all. Okay, there's some fluid going. Come on, I want like 60 pounds. Oh, it went above 60. Now we gotta drop a couple. Uh-oh. I don't think it liked that. Maybe that was the power surge from the air kicking on. That was weird. Oh yeah. This pump takes a lot of juice. I don't know that it likes it. We might have to put a smaller pump in this thing. Well, there's no leaks back here, but something's not happy. Checking the wiring's not getting hot or anything. So I guess what we'll do is we'll just fire this thing up, and maybe we'll do it one by one and just see what these injectors are doing. Let's go to idle test. And well, that's not good because it is not doing anything. Did I mess something up? It's a little fuse back here. That's weird. It's not doing anything. So I don't know. Maybe I messed up. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe this thing's pulling too much amperage. I mean, it is a really big pump. Maybe it's just too much pump. So let's maybe I just had the pressure too high. Trying to get the one thing is I'm noticing this thing would normally I don't know what it's doing there. It would normally fluctuate in pressure a lot. Yeah, it's definitely not liking that. Well, I guess maybe I get my 525 pump back, but it's not fluctuating as much as it normally did. So I guess we'll try this and just see what it does. So the Kenzo pump here, or Kimso is what it is. It's a 340 LPH pump. I ordered this because, like I said, the Aeromotive pump, the nipple broke off of it, and I wasn't about to buy like $100 or $140 pump for this thing, which it's got the Hellcat pump in it. That thing's about 140 bucks. But I'm going to pull it out. We're going to swap this in, and hopefully that'll fix our issue. We got the old Hellcat pump out. And I'll tell you what, this hose they put on this thing, man, this hose is a pain in the butt. It's super stiff. It's not very flexible. Doesn't want to slide over the nipple of the pump very well. We got the Kimzo pump mounted in its little thing that slides down in this tank. But if you pull that rear cover off, obviously you can get to this. And it's kind of a chore to like put it in there, twist it, flip it, and then slide this hose down on top of it. So I'm trying to decide if I'm just going to put a little grease or silicone in here and then try and shove it down on here. And then hopefully maybe go ahead and put the clamp on it and then try and shove it down in there. I don't know if it's going to do it or not. I have a feeling that once I get this down in there, there's no way I'm going to be able to force this down on top of this without pushing the pump into the bottom of this tank, because it's, like I said, it's just clamped onto this little rubber grommet here, and that's what seals it to the tank. I don't know. I'll try something and I'll let you know what I end up. All right, so what a pain that was. But I got the pump in, got the clamp on it here. I've had to cut this hose 2 or 3 times, and I've lost a couple inches on it. So now it's like pulling on the pump, and the front part of this little grommet's not laying flat on the tank. So that kind of sucks, but I just can't get like wobbly with the machine. Otherwise it'll spill a bunch of the fluid out of it. Everything's wired up. I've got the positive and the negative, assuming red is positive, black is negative. I mean, you would think. And yeah, I guess we'll plug it in. I need to put some fluid back in it because I drained a bunch of the fluid out of it. So I'm going to throw some fluid back in it. We'll move it over, get it plugged. Actually, I'll probably just turn it around here. Got my fluid put back in there, and we're going to get these injectors. Why does that look bent? That's weird. We're going to get these injectors bolted down and plugged in. If I can do it one-handed. Get on there for Pete's sake. How about that? There we go. All right. We'll go through. First thing we'll do, we'll just fire up the pressure tester. Try and get the pressure up here. See if we can get it up around 60. It already sounds better than when I had the Hellcat pump in it. The Hellcat pump, even just adjusting the pressure, it started doing some funny stuff. So we'll stop that. We'll go to, that was a leak test. I guess we'll just kind of run it a minute. Kind of get some fluid blowing through these injectors here. And prime everything up before we actually run a test and see. Well, that one's not working at all. Huh. Well, that injector's dead. Maybe it'll come back around. We'll see. Let's fire it up. Oh, there it goes. It just came back on. Let's go back down to that test and see if it works now. Yeah, now it's working. So that injector was actually stuck closed. Must be a sticky one. But let's move these cables out of the way. One thing I will say is this little light back here makes it really hard to video unless you're like up high, but then it's really hard to see. We'll go high speed, mainly because that's where it's going to put out the most volume. And hopefully this will get us up here in a ballpark. Well, they're still super inconsistent. Let's run a couple tests and just see what it does. I will say that, well, it ain't keeping up that good. Yeah. So that pump didn't make any difference as far as fluctuation in the pressure. I was hoping it would maintain a higher pressure more consistently. It doesn't appear that way. So this is a 340. I could have opted for like a 450, but it's a 340, 450, and the 525 is kind of your only option. So, which now the pressure, I guess it's still up there. I mean, I guess I could try and about 70 pounds. Maybe another 10 pounds will help. And it still drops to 30 pounds. Yeah, I mean, it kind of is what it is. It may just be injector issues at this point. But so yeah, adding my pump didn't do anything. Like I said, the injectors themselves are just off apparently, but also adding the bigger pump inside this tester didn't do what I had hoped as far as keeping pressure up, because I felt like the pressure fluctuation is what was going to cause the inconsistency in the injectors, and didn't seem like it made a difference. I could go through and run them individually and see if that makes a difference. And I mean, we can give it a check real quick and see, and just see if maybe they're more consistent running them individually, so you don't have each injector trying to rob the other one of pressure. But yeah, let's just run them one by one. Now, if you run them individually here, you can see that the pressure stays up there. So I set the base pressure at 70 pounds, and it's right about 59, 58 pounds. But this one was low, and this one was low, and these two were high. So yep, that one there is about 20% off. If we were assuming these are 100%. Yep, about the same. And then this one was pretty close to this one. Yeah, so it's a little lower than this one, but I wasn't paying that close of attention. But those are within a couple percent of each other. And then these two are actually 20% lower than these. So yeah, the adding the bigger pump didn't matter. Kind of wanted to try it, give it a shot, just to see if I could get this tester to work a little better. Because like I said, I was every now and then I would have some discrepancies in some of the big injectors, and I was hoping that this bigger pump would help. But like I said, I don't know what size pump they put in this thing originally, so it's hard to say. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Keep following along. Oh well, we tried.